Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am James Yoder, the face of Michigan football media. We've got a boatload of recruiting, 2019, coaching, all kinds of rumors today for you here on the Michigan Football Report. It is our Rumors Roundup edition. Let's get started with the biggest story of the week. Chat Sports is the first to report this last Friday, Saturday. I can't remember when that show was. I think it came on YouTube last Friday. We published it on Facebook Live on Saturday. Zach Harrison, top 5 player in the country, is an imminent public commitment to the University of Michigan. I'm giving this 4 Harbaugh heads, and you all know what that means. F-A-C-K. In fact, that is how Jim Harbaugh spells it. What do we know about Zach Harrison? He was in Columbus this past weekend for the Nebraska game. He is an absolute freak of nature. He has won in his high school career 40-yard dash contest against the top wide receivers in the country. He runs a 4.47 40-yard dash, 6'6", 243 pounds. I guess a little undersized from that perspective, but looks like a wide receiver. Basically, he's Calvin Johnson, who plays on the defense. He was at Ohio State this weekend. Apparently, it was a kind of an average visit, and now all of the crystal ball predictors of the recruiting sites are all putting their crystal balls in Zach Harrison to Michigan. But Chat Sports told you first, last weekend, I'm going to go through this timeline very, explicitly. He came to Michigan, a very surprise trip to Michigan for the Michigan-Wisconsin game on October 13th. And the next day, on that Sunday, he told fellow recruits, a couple of the Michigan players, and the Michigan coaching staff that, look, I want to come to the University of Michigan to be part of this 2019 class. I don't want it publicly announced until after my senior season is over. So I'm guessing so I don't get heckled, so people don't throw batteries at me. All these Ohio fans can get crazy like this, especially when one of their own, the best player in the state, heads north to the University of Michigan. His season's over, folks. They lost this past weekend in the playoffs, at least for what I read on the internet. I didn't specifically, go to the game myself. Zach Harrison's season's over. A commitment to Michigan is imminent. I don't know if I expect it to come before the Michigan-Ohio State game. Maybe he attends that game as a visitor of Ohio State, has some sideline passes, whatever you have it. But Zach Harrison to Michigan is F-A-C-K. I have no doubts about it at this time. He will be coming to the University of Michigan. He'll be an early enrollee from what I have told, so he'll commit in the next month and a half. He will sign in mid-December, and he will enroll at the University of Michigan in early January to be part of spring practice. What would this do to the Michigan football recruiting class? You see it here. Alabama's still number 1, but if they land Harrison, a top 5 player in the country, if they land Quavaris Crouch, one of the best athletes in the country, about top 20-ish player overall, where would that put the class? I think it would get them. There'd be 4 5-stars with Zach Charbonnet out there, potentially as another 5-star. It could be 5 5-star for Michigan. That would get them in the top 5 should Charbonnet get the jump. But as of now, they sit at number 9 with a lot of big-time players out there that have not committed that Michigan is leading or co-leading or has an excellent chance for. So, Zach Harrison, I want to put this out there. I said last Friday on my show, will be part of the 2019 Michigan football recruiting class. I'm giving it 4 Harbaugh heads. F-A-C-K gave a silent commit on October 13th. Said he wanted to wait till his season was over, and that season, ladies and gentlemen, has now ended. So keep an eye out. It could drop any minute. I actually don't think he will, even though his season ended. I don't think he'll announce after the Michigan-Ohio State game. Maybe make one last trip to Columbus as an uncommitted player, see Michigan-Ohio State game. Hopefully the bad outcome for Michigan wouldn't sway him. I don't think it would at this point. But keep an eye out for that one. I believe 100% that he'll be part of that number 9 recruiting class and get him up potentially into the top 5. Do you want to be at that Michigan-Ohio State game? A game that could be a play-in to the college football playoffs, especially if Nebraska, a team Michigan already beat, could be the opponent for the victor of this game. Should Ohio State beat Michigan State this weekend? If you want to go to the game, Chat Sports and BetDSI are going to hook you up with a jersey to potentially wear to the game, but also the opportunity, and a strong opportunity, to win tickets to this game. Ticket prices are going $750 to get in the door, $1,000 to get anything decent where you'd want to sit, have a good view of the game. do 3 things. You got to sign up and deposit with BetDSI, DM me, we'll get you the jersey for sure, and you will have an opportunity, and a pretty good one. It's not like 1 out of 10,000, 1 out of 1,000, maybe 1 out of 100. We'll see how it kind of shakes out. Follow me on Twitter at James Yoder for more ways to win. We're going to give you opportunities to win with all of our partners here at the Michigan Football Report. So that is how it is done. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code GOBLUE. Next rumor, Denver Warren. He decommitted a 2024 star out of the state of Illinois, not out of Colorado. Denver Warren out of the state of Illinois. Decommitted, said Michigan didn't have enough room for him. All right, didn't have enough room. I am going to tell you exactly what happened, at least as far as I know at this time. Off the field issues, I'm calling this for Harbaugh heads, FACK. So let's take a look at Denver Warren, a player who is absurdly vocal for his support and his love of Michigan. His mother as well. He is 6'1", about 320. He's a top 250-ish player overall, the number 4 player in Illinois. He tweeted out that Michigan told them they didn't have any room for him, but the rumors persisted and they exploded from there. I didn't look too deep into this, but I had plenty of people hit me in the DMs, hit me on social media, tell me here's what's happened. I looked into it. Now, his mom says, I love the University of Michigan. I love her just blatant disregard for her name on social media. Peaches, and then parentheses, Denver Humble Beast Warren's, parentheses, mom. It's crazy and wild, but nevertheless, she loves the University of Michigan. I'm sure she wants to see him have the opportunity to come back to this 2020 class. Still a little over a year before you have to sign. But I was told there's off-the-field issues. His offer went up in smoke, if you catch my drift. At least that's what sources are telling me. I don't have any direct knowledge of this. I haven't talked to him specifically. But he has missed at least 4 games, potentially more. I haven't really looked that deep into it. I just got the very high-level details of this one. Has missed at least 4 games for disciplinary reasons. Michigan and him decided to make it a clean break. He understands why he can't be part of the class, at least for now, is because of disciplinary off-the-field issues. It is not because of him being over-recruited, him being processed, him not being good enough to play at Michigan anymore. Off-the-field issues with Denver Warren. What are these Harbaugh heads? If you haven't seen the show anymore, we're going to explain it to you, but I'm sure most of you know what they are. If we give it something 0 Harbaugh heads on the rumor meter, that is totally false. Fake news! If it's 1 Harbaugh head, there's a small shred of truth. 2 Harbaugh heads means people are talking 50-50. 3 Harbaugh heads means it is pretty likely. And if we give it the 4 Harbaugh heads, that means it is FACK, fact. That is how Jim Harbaugh spells it, and that is how we spell it here at the Michigan Football Report on Chat Sports, Facebook Live, and the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Myles Hinton, top 10 player in 2020, brother of 2019 5-star Michigan commit Chris Hinton. Is he a future Wolverine? All the blog boys and the message boards are saying he's coming to Michigan. I'm all giving this 2 Harbaugh heads, though. I'm putting a kind of not so fast, my friend. There is one thing holding me off from going 3 or 4 Harbaugh heads on Myles Hinton, with his brother coming to Michigan, his dad being a big supporter of the University of Michigan potentially, and that is this thing called Stanford and David Shaw. If he gets into Stanford, academically, they do not, take in, if you don't have grades to get into Stanford, if you wouldn't qualify as a normal student, you don't get a football scholarship. If he can get there, I think he'll go to Stanford. If not, it's going to be all Michigan, 2 5-star Hinton brothers. And what would that do to the 2020 class? That's off to a decent start. These are only juniors in high school. Michigan now has 5 players committed for 2020. We talked about the 3-star running back they got this weekend as well in the show yesterday on Michigan Football News. 5 commits, no 5-stars yet, no 5-stars. So Myles Hinton would certainly be highly impactful in the Michigan 2020 recruiting class. 2 4-stars and 3 3-stars, one of which is Shea Patterson's brother. That is the Michigan 2020 class and how Myles Hinton could impact it. I am James Yoder. I want to ask that you follow me on Twitter at James T. Yoder for great Michigan football news and the opportunity to win tickets to the Michigan football Ohio State game. When we come back, I have news on Shea Patterson's future, how it impacts other Michigan football players who might go pro early, and how the Michigan football coaching staff could be giving a little shakeup this offseason given the success. Now, I'm going to leave you with a celebration video of the Michigan football team. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Wolverine is great to me. A Michigan Wolverine is great. It's great to me. A Michigan Wolverine is great to me. A Michigan Wolverine is great to me. A Michigan Wolverine.
have it. That is the celebration of the Michigan football team. 42-7 domination of James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Franklin, crazy enough, falls to 3-12 versus Michigan State, Ohio State, and Michigan in his 5 years as Penn State's head coach. I am James Yoder, the face of Michigan football media. I want to ask you a question we haven't asked in a while. You know, people have their opinions out there. Do you enjoy this show? We're broadcasting 2 or 3 episodes a week right now. Do you enjoy it? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. If you have too many N's, I'm just shutting the show down. Kidding. But if you type N, tell us how we could get better. If you want to DM me on Twitter, we'll show the Twitter account here in a little bit. Showed it earlier. You can tell us how we can improve. We're trying to bring you the most up-to-date Michigan football stories and also a level deeper. Tell you what we're hearing on the rumors, what's going to happen coming up, news in the future, aka rumors. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Chat Sports YouTube and the Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live page. Let's get into the next rumor. Michigan is just invading the state of Georgia. They beat Georgia in the polls yesterday in the college football playoff rankings, number 4 over 5. Now they're taking their best players once again. A 2020 wide receiver, I was told, left Ann Arbor this past weekend as a heavy lean to Ann Arbor. 4 Harbaugh heads on this one, and the young man's name is Josh Downs. We talked about it last week. He was making a visit to Michigan, has got a relationship with the Hinton brothers, has a relationship with 2020 quarterback Harrison Bailey, also out of the state of Georgia. He is a 4-star, number 317 overall, and the number 64. That seems crazy, 64 wide receivers, but nevertheless are better than him. But he is highly rated. He is a guy that Michigan thinks that they're going to get in this class, and I think he will be a commitment to Michigan in early 2019, right after the calendar season, the bowl games are over. He will come there. So what I was told is that Michigan put the heavy recruiting, push on him to commit, to be one of the first, the first wide receiver to commit in the 2020 class, and he is likely to commit once the Michigan signing day is over in December after the bowl game. So keep an eye out for Josh Downs. 4-star wide receiver out of Georgia. The more players you pull from Georgia, I swear, it's just success breeding success. The more players that will come in the future. So keep an eye out for that one. Josh Downs visited Michigan and leaves a heavy lean for the Wolverines to land in the 2020 class. Next rumor up, Quavaris Crouch. We talked about him as lead the show yesterday in Michigan football news. Does Michigan lead for Quavaris Couch? I guess if you think his 51% lead is that lead, I'm giving it 3 Harbaugh heads. A lot of the recruiting guys are putting out positive vibes that Michigan's going to get Crouch. I still am holding back my enthusiasm. I'm not giving it any more than 3 Harbaugh heads. I think that's 51% at this point. I do think publicly he may say Michigan leads now. People close to him say Michigan leads, but he still has an official visit out there to Clemson. He's still, a matter of hours away from the Clemson campus, and they are still a better program than Michigan, at least as things stand right now. So Quavaris Couch said Michigan was his best visit yet. He visited this past weekend for the Penn State game. Of course, hung out with Chris Webber, hung out with fellow North Carolinian and former Wolverine Jamar Adams, who was on the field, and he will announce in about almost 2 months today, January 5th, from San Antonio for the Army All-American game. He'll be one of the players who announces there. Getting excited about this one, but don't be disappointed if he ends up at Clemson. I think it is probably just as likely. I'm going to give it 51%, so that bumps it past 2 Harbaugh heads into the 3 Harbaugh heads. He leads. Doesn't mean that they are going to end up with him. Let's talk about Kalen DeLoach. Currently committed to Florida State. Could this be the second defensive player from Florida State that flips from Willie Taggart, the 3rd Harbaugh brother, to play for the real Harbaugh brothers, Jim Harbaugh, in Michigan? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. I'm actually surprised that he didn't commit this past weekend. So Kalen DeLoach committed to Florida State, visited Michigan, 3 Harbaugh heads, that he is going to flip to the University of Michigan. I think it is surprising to me that he didn't commit this past weekend, didn't flip, but maybe he wants to go home, talk over his coach, his family, maybe call Willie Taggart, but I think it is pretty likely that he will end up as part of the University of Michigan's 2019 recruiting class. Speaking of 2019, speaking of what that team is going to look like, and a player Michigan just recruited 8 months ago, Shea Patterson, is he going to stay another year? Will he be part of the Michigan football team in 2019? I'm going to give this one 3 Harbaugh heads because I keep hearing more and more of our draft prognosticators say, hey, Shea's not a first-round guy. He's probably not a second-round guy. And on the other side, people who have talked to Shea or his family saying that he finds the value in Harbaugh and that coaching. He knows that next year Michigan's offense is going to be opened up a little more. Second year with him as quarterback, offensive line really gelling under Ed Warner, and potentially one of the best wide receiving corps in America with Tariq Black, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Oliver Martin, maybe Zach Gentry returns from the tight end position. Michigan could be more of an aerial attack next year. So I'm giving it 3 Harbaugh heads, ladies and gentlemen. I do not think that Shea Patterson will leave the NFL. His original plan was to be a one and done at Michigan. I think there's some factors. His limited passing in that offense, and of course I think he's seeing the value in staying one more year under Jim Harbaugh, maybe leading Michigan to a big time season, even bigger than this one is, in 2019 with the passing game as the dominant focus of the offense. And thinking of that, Shea Patterson next year, also considering he's not the biggest guy in the world. Dylan McCaffrey, the backup, broken collarbone, as you saw from my Twitter and, of course, in the Michigan Football News Roundup yesterday. Will he play into the second half? Will he sit the second half, I guess is the question. True or false? Type below. Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live and the Chat Sports YouTube account. Will he sit the entire half versus Rutgers on Saturday? Michigan will probably be up 35-0 halftime. Will he sit the second half? True or false? I want to know what you guys think. And if you say either one, give the reason why. Why would he play in the second half? Why would he sit? I don't know. True or false below in the comment section. Let's take it to the next rumor. Another Shea Patterson rumor. Is he a Heisman finalist? Well, if you believe the sports books and our partner BetDSI, you'd think, yes, he is going to be a Heisman finalist. But I'm giving this 1 Harbaugh head. I don't see Shea Patterson getting even a sniff of an invite to New York. And as a matter of fact, I don't think he's even Michigan's top candidate on the entire roster. I think it's Karan Higdon is in the top 10 in Chat Sports Heisman list. Shea Patterson, nowhere to be found. But if you look at what BetDSI and some other sports books are putting out there for their odds, is pretty consistent that Shea Patterson has the third best odds behind Tua Tagovailoa, behind Kyler Murray of Oklahoma to win the Heisman. We see Dwayne Haskins, who was number 2 for most of the first half of the year, has dropped to number 4 as far as the odds are concerned, and Mr. 2-point conversion himself, Will Grier, at plus 2,000. So what does that 1,400 mean on Shea Patterson? Look, if you think Shea Patterson can win these next 3 games plus a Big Ten title game, something happens to Tua, Oklahoma loses a couple games, Kyler Murray falls out of it, and you want to put some straight cash homie on Shea Patterson, you got to do it with BetDSI, plus 1,400 odds. You put 100 down on Shea, you win $1,400. You put 10, you win 140. It's pretty good dang odds. I bet when he's 65 to 1 odds, plus 6,500. Now you can still get him plus 14. And if you do so, you will get a Michigan football maize jersey, the same one I wear from Jordan Brand. If you sign up and deposit with BetDSI, you're getting a 120% deposit bonus with the promo code GOBLUE. You get that maize jersey. We're going to send it to you. All you got to do is sign up and deposit, chatsports.com/bet. DM me when you're done, and by doing so, you are entered in. You'll probably have about a 1 in 100 chance, just my quick math on what we've got to do to give away those tickets to win Michigan at Ohio State tickets. These tickets are going $1,500 plus for the worst seats in the house for a pair of those bad boys. You want to win those tickets, get started with BetDSI. If you've already got started or don't want to do it for some reason, DM me. There's going to be more ways to win. Follow me on Twitter. I'll tweet those out over the next 2 weeks. We'll make a winner announcement the week of the Michigan-Ohio State game. Hopefully, you are the winner, and if you do win, you will be going to the game with yours truly, James Yoder. Take a look at this week's upcoming game. Michigan headed on the road to Rutgers, a place they won 78-0. 2 years ago. And frankly, Jonathan Taylor of Wisconsin, he is at Wisconsin specifically, I believe, because this game was committed to Rutgers at the time. Saw Michigan beat him 78-0. Wanted to look elsewhere. I don't know why he would do that, of course, with them losing 78-0. I couldn't say. But nevertheless, Michigan, 38.5-point favorite. You can make that bet at BetDSI if you're getting signed up right now. Over-under 48.5. I'm not going to make any predictions on the over-under, but I am putting the James Yoder stamp of approval. 39.5-point spread is the line right now. Michigan will beat Rutgers by more than 40 points. I've got 55-0, maybe 55-3 as my final score. Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. You can watch it then, unless you're traveling to the game, which you'll watch in person. Next rumor, it's the Shea Patterson 3-pack. Does Shea Patterson's potential return mean that more Michigan underclassmen that were looking to go to the NFL will return? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. There's a lot of chatter out there about how many Michigan football players, specifically with the success the team's having this year, could go pro. But if they see the quarterback come back, a potential Big Ten championship quarterback, a quarterback that could win at Ohio State for the first time in 18 years, could his return get guys like Devin Bush, David Long, Khalil Hudson, and some others to return? There are potentially 9 underclassmen that could leave early for the NFL draft and get drafted. I'm not saying all these guys are even close to first rounder or not. Shea Patterson, Zach Gentry, and Ben Bredesen on the offensive side. And you look over the defense side, you have Rashawn Gary, who just returned this past week after missing 5 or so games, Devin Bush, Khalil Hudson, David Long, Lavert Hill, and surprisingly, Josh Metellus, who a lot of people were not happy with after he dropped that interception versus Ohio State last year. He is having an amazing year. He is actually probably second or third, probably third on Michigan's defense as far as I'm concerned as value this year. If I'm stack ranking the defensive MVP, it's Chase Winovich number 1, it's Devin Bush 2. I think it might be Lavert Hill number 3. Lane, if we have the opportunity to go through that list one more time, potentially, you've got Khalil Hudson, David Long, Lavert Hill, and Josh Metellus. We'll run through it one more time. Shea Patterson, if he returns, could Zach Gentry, who will be, I think, the only guy on this list who is a 2015 recruit who would come back for his 5th year. All these other guys, 2016 recruits, all in their true 3rd year. Patterson, Bredesen, Rashawn Gary, Devin Bush, and the guys we showed there, Khalil Hudson, David Long, Josh Metellus, and Lavert Hill. That is the potential, exodus Michigan is facing. If Shea Patterson returns, you might see more of those guys than expected return to Ann Arbor for a championship level season in 2019. All right, my mind is blown right now, okay? My mind is blown because I think I've seen, it's like the 4-minute mile in 1931. People just couldn't believe it. It's like the earth is no longer flat, it's round. Columbus has sailed across the ocean. Could it be possible that Michigan's cornerbacks, corner with a C, not quarter, cornerbacks, David Long, Lavert Hill, and Brandon Watson, who's having a heck of a year, score more touchdowns through the passing game than they give up? F-A-C-K on this one. I want to show you this graphic coming up here in just a moment. Michigan's cornerbacks have scored 3 touchdowns via pick sixes through the opposing team's passing game this year. 3 touchdowns. Brandon Watson, first player for Michigan since 1971 to have 2 pick sixes in a season. Got one this past weekend versus Penn State. Lavert Hill's got one against, I think it was Wisconsin, if memory serves me correctly. Hill's given up 2 touchdowns through the passing game. David Long, 0. I mean, basically no one scores that touchdowns on Michigan through the air at all. David Long is giving up 0. Brandon Watson has given up 0 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns allowed by the cornerbacks through the air this year for Michigan, and they have scored 3 touchdowns on pick 6. If this trend continues, either it stays at 3-2 or gets more pick sixes, more touchdowns, more pick sixes than they give up touchdowns, this would be the most absurd stat I have ever seen in the history of sport. Right now, the Michigan cornerbacks have scored more touchdowns through the passing game of the other team than they have given up, 3-2 right now, and that is what Don Brown is bringing to the Michigan football defense as their defense coordinator in their 3rd year. Now, speaking of Don Brown, is he the king? Is he the king of defensive coordinators? Did Jim Harbaugh steal that name from James Yoder? I used to call myself the king of Michigan football media, and people, of course, call me that as well. Did Jim Harbaugh steal that from me? Because I've had several people hit me up and say, I wonder if Harbaugh got the nickname the king from watching your show. Do we have the video of Don Brown, Jim Harbaugh talking about Don Brown? Coming up here, Jim Harbaugh said Don Brown is the king. He actually, for the first time I've ever seen, Jim Harbaugh gave a little jingle, he sang a little song about Don Brown. So here's Harbaugh on Don Brown.
You could list them out. I mean, the top thing, the most impressive thing to me is Don Brown. I'm reminded of the old jingle in the 70s. When you said Don Brown, you said it all. He's the king. He's the king of defensive coordinators. It's so great. But a lot of things, a lot of impressive things.
I mean, come on. What are you doing here, Harbaugh? Can you at least give I'd like to thank my friend James Yoder for coming up with that nickname. You can't call anybody king in regards to Michigan football without giving me credit. Give it to Harbaugh heads, but we all know where Jim Harbaugh got that nickname. Don Brown now the king of defensive coordinators. And is he going to be a shoo-in? Read one report, one article on the internet in the past couple days. Don Brown, a shoo-in for the Broyles Award given out to the top assistant football coach in America. The Broyles Award been given out since 1996. I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. It seems pretty likely. Maybe Alabama's offensive coordinator would get the other potential nod, but I don't know who would have another opportunity other than Don Brown, specifically given how absurdly dominant statistically Michigan has been compared to other teams, other defenses in the country. If you look at the last 5 years of this award, quite a few big-time names, and certainly names that are familiar to Michigan football fans. Last 2 years, it's been the OC and the DC, the defensive coordinator for Clemson. Last year, the offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott. 2 years ago, it was their defensive coordinator, Brent Venables. Disavow, you know what I'm talking about, Brett Scott. Lincoln Riley, now head coach at Oklahoma in 2015. Tom Herman, now head coach at Texas in 2014. And Pat Narduzzi, now head coach at Pitt for Michigan State, their defensive coordinator in 2013. So this award usually leads to head coaching jobs at big-time schools. I don't think it's going to happen with Don Brown should he win it. Michigan's only other winner, Michigan fans who have been alive for more than 20 years will remember this name, Jim Herman with that 1997 defense, the second person ever to win it, given that the award started in 1996. I looked up Jim Herman. He's like the linebackers coach for the Colts now. Certainly didn't have the career trajectory as some of the guys on the name that won the award recently. So Don Brown, potential shoo-in for the Broyles Award, named for Frank Broyles, the former head coach of Arkansas. Crazy why it would name after him. His coaching tree, ridiculous. Barry Switzer, Johnny Majors, Joe Gibbs, Hayden Fry, Jimmy Johnson, and Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. So his assistants went out to great things. That is why the award is named after him. Once again, Michigan will face Rutgers 3:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. The spread is a 39.5-point spread for the Wolverines. Over/under 48.5. 2 years ago, Michigan covered that spread. They won 78-0. Of course, it's a huge spread. Tough to bet on spreads like that, but nevertheless, I am going to put my money on the Wolverines. I'm going to do so at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code GOBLUE. If you do that, you saw the promo. We'll talk about it maybe here later in the show. You can win them. You can get a Michigan football jersey. 120% deposit bonus. You put down 50, you get a free 60. You put down 100, you put down 120, and up from there. You can do math. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code GOBLUE. Make a bet on the Wolverines. I'm telling you, they're going to cover that 39.5-point spread. You have the opportunity to win tickets to the Michigan football Ohio State game here in a couple weeks. Next up, Jim McElwain, the wide receivers coach, kind of offensive coordinator for Michigan. Pep Hamilton, the quarterbacks coach, kind of offensive coordinator. Are they going to be candidates for head coaching jobs this offseason? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. Now, Jim McElwain has been rumored in the past few days for the Kansas Jayhawks head coaching job. They just announced that they are going to relieve their head coach at the end of the year, although he will coach out this season. 3 Harbaugh heads. Pep Hamilton, being with Michigan now, this is his second season. Kind of a disappointment last year. Maybe that was Tim Drevno's doing. And Jim McElwain, high-level head coach at the University of Florida, although it didn't end very well, and at Colorado State before that. I think Pep may be a candidate for lower your group of 5 jobs, maybe a MAC job, maybe other jobs in that group of 5. But I do think McElwain will have opportunities for the lower end of the Power 5 conference. Maybe Kansas, although rumors out there that former Michigan offensive lineman and assistant coach Les Miles may be a shoo-in for that job. So Michigan had a ton of turnover on the offensive side of the ball on the coaching staff last season. We may see more of that. 3 Harbaugh heads that these guys are going to get serious looks, and they absolutely should take a look at those jobs as they come up, potentially make the next step up in their career. I guess McElwain kind of stepped down to get to a step up. One more assistant coach that is up for some big things is Ed Warner. So I've been seeing some people right out there that he's going to get a big raise this offseason. I'm only giving it 2 Harbaugh heads because as much as he's done great things to the Michigan offensive line, I do think that Jim Harbaugh kind of re-energized Warner's career. He was offensive coordinator at Ohio State, running game coordinator at Nebraska, at Notre Dame before that. If you go even further back before this, he was actually integral on the last team at Kansas that made a major bowl game in that 2007 Kansas team. Last year, though, prior to Michigan, offensive line coach in Minnesota, Jim Harbaugh kind of snagged him for about half what Pep Hamilton makes, kind of re-energized his career after he was unceremoniously fired from Ohio State as their co-offensive coordinator and I guess full offensive coordinator his last year there. Some Ohio State fans didn't like Warner. I don't think Michigan is going to need to give him a big raise this offseason. They may just out of, congratulations or something like that, but I don't think Ed Warner is going anywhere. I think he's going to be at Michigan for the next several years, and maybe he can move into a coordinator position should Hamilton, should Jim McElwain, and some others move on in the future. All right, that is the latest on the Michigan coaching staff. Take it back over to the player side. He has been kind of talked about for the past few weeks. I was at the Wisconsin game, I was at the Penn State game, and every time he lines up for a kick, people get really nervous, and I am giving it 3 Harbaugh heads that Quinn Nordin, Jim Harbaugh's sleepover buddy from a few years back when he was a recruit, is now officially on the hot seat. 3 Harbaugh heads on it, but I think the next time he misses the field goal or completely shanks one like he has done so many times recently, that he is going to get the pull. And freshman Jake Moody, who's been doing really great on kickoffs, will get the opportunity to be Michigan's full-time kicker. Nordin is 11 of 16, so 70% on the year, but had one blocked. His only attempt blocked against Penn State. Michigan got the ball back because there was a penalty on the Nittany Lions, but nevertheless, I think if he misses another field goal, Rutgers, Indiana, maybe Ohio State, although I don't know if you put Moody in that position in a close game in Columbus, Quinn Nordin could end up on the bench. And if he does, Jake Moody will have the opportunity to seize the job for the remainder of his Michigan football career. That is the latest Michigan football rumors. I am James Yoder, the face of Michigan football media, the guy who gave Don Brown the name the king of defensive coordinators, if you believe the rumors. And we are Michigan Football Report. Stick with us next week. We're going to come back with a look at Ohio State, opportunities for you to win tickets to the Ohio State-Michigan game with our partner BetDSI, and we will see you then.